This book was born during the COVID-19 pandemic, when a friend said to me on a Zoom call, "We use so many different words for it, but there is one thing we're all dealing with: fear." I agreed. Words streamed through my mind: anxiety, trauma, concern, worry, panic, uncertainty, nervousness. In the past, I'd sometimes joked that my credentials as a contemplative psychotherapist came not so much from my graduate degree, but from being an expert in fear. As a teenager, I learned to ride the kind of horse that bucked me off regularly. My adult life was a similar bumpy ride. So fear is something I'm very familiar with. But then again, aren't we all? The 2020s is unfolding as a decade driven by fear. It began with a global pandemic that forced us into isolation behind closed borders, lockdown restrictions, and masks. Even the most ordinary of exchanges, such as with our grocery clerks, were blocked by plexiglass. Behind those barriers, we also had our individual crises. Mine began in the summer of 2020, when I was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer, TNBC, a rare, aggressive, and hard-to-treat form of the disease. In the months that followed, my personal experience sensitized me to the difficulties other people were going through behind their masks. That winter, our family lost a loved one to the opioid epidemic. Friends had their homes destroyed by wildfires and floods. In the background, hateful speech was spreading like a virus through our social and political conversations. As I write, the devastating war in Ukraine is raging, and above all, our climate crisis is worsening. It feels like we're in a collective freefall, but are so overwhelmed that we can't even get oriented as to which way is up. This helpless feeling of disorientation is a human emotion everyone can relate to during hard times. If we were left with fear alone, we could never survive difficult times in our lives. Thankfully, there's another human experience that has the power to absorb, embrace, and transform these challenges: love. Love also goes by many names: kindness, generosity, gratitude, mercy, tenderness, understanding. When love, in any of its forms, comes together with fear, the roots of our human nature are nourished. This is because we're like trees in a forest. From the view above the ground, it may appear that we stand alone, but below the surface we're interdependent, always in relationship. When those roots are nourished, we have an inner strength that enables us to reach beyond ourselves and help each other. We're connected to a social supply chain that delivers ordinary acts of courage and resilience. Having cancer during the pandemic lockdown brought home to me how challenging it can be to keep an open heart when you feel paralyzed by fear. Fear is a crisis of trust.